One morning Victoria Hart woke up and decided that she hated her sister Emily more than ever. She wanted to ruin her life. She was tired of her mother nagging her about Emily's perfect life and marriage. Victoria was a beautiful woman, but that was not enough to make her life better. She wanted her sister to suffer, so she decided to break her marriage, but first she needed to make her sister's husband fall in love with her and marry her. Victoria Hart was known for her beauty and sharp tongue. From a young age, she had been envious and malicious, always seeking ways to stand out at the expense of others. Her younger sister, Emily, was the opposite, kind, benevolent, and always ready to help others. Emily had found love in Michael, a hardworking and devoted man who adored her. Victoria had always felt a deep envy towards Emily. Emily had everything Victoria desired: a happy home, a loving husband, and a fulfilling life. Victoria, on the other hand, had a string of failed relationships and felt increasingly bitter and resentful. Her envy had turned into a poison that consumed her from within, and she finally decided it was time to destroy Emily's home. Victoria began to observe Michael from afar, studying his habits and weaknesses. She knew that if she wanted to destroy Emily's home, she had to start with Michael. Victoria was a master of manipulation and seduction, and she was willing to use all her weapons to get what she wanted. Victoria started planning her strategy carefully. She knew she couldn't be obvious in her intentions, so she decided to approach Michael gradually. She began visiting Emily more frequently, always bringing gifts and offering help. Emily, trusting and kind, didn't suspect anything and welcomed Victoria with open arms. Victoria took every opportunity to talk to Michael, always finding excuses to be alone with him. She complimented him, listened to him attentively, and showed interest in his hobbies. Michael initially didn't pay much attention, but Victoria was persistent and knew how to gain people's trust. One day, Victoria invited Michael for a coffee, claiming she needed to talk to him about an important family matter. Michael, unsuspecting, agreed. During the coffee, Victoria started talking about her life and problems, making Michael feel compassionate and protective. Victoria knew how to play with people's emotions, and Michael was no exception. Victoria began to seduce Michael in a subtle but effective way. She sent him affectionate text messages, called him to talk about trivial things, and always found a way to touch him casually. Michael initially didn't realize Victoria's intentions, but gradually he started feeling an attraction towards her. Victoria organized secret meetings with Michael, always making sure Emily didn't suspect anything. She told Michael she needed his help to solve family problems and couldn't talk to Emily about it. Michael, trusting and protective, fell into Victoria's trap. During one of these meetings, Victoria and Michael ended up in bed. Victoria knew that once Michael tasted her charm, it would be hard for him to resist. And so it was. Michael began to feel a stronger and stronger attraction towards Victoria, and soon, he found himself entangled in a web of lies and betrayals. Emily started noticing changes in Michael's behavior. He was more distant, more reserved, and spent more time away from home. Emily, trusting and loving, didn't suspect anything at first, but gradually, she began to feel that something was wrong. One night, while Michael and Victoria were in a hotel, Emily decided to call Michael to see how he was. Victoria, quick and cunning, answered the phone and told Emily that Michael was busy in a work meeting. Emily, trusting, didn't suspect anything and hung up the phone. But the tension in Emily and Michael's home began to rise. Emily felt that something was wrong, but she didn't know what. Michael, on the other hand, was increasingly tormented by his betrayal. He knew he was hurting Emily, but he couldn't resist Victoria's charm. One day, while Emily was at work, she decided to stop by Victoria's apartment to see how she was. Upon arriving, she heard strange noises coming from Victoria's bedroom. Curious and suspicious, Emily decided to investigate. Upon opening the bedroom door, Emily found Michael and Victoria in bed, naked and entwined. The betrayal was so painful that Emily felt her world crumbling. She screamed and cried, and Michael and Victoria were left in shock. Emily confronted Victoria with tears in her eyes. "How could you do this to me, Victoria? You're my sister. How could you betray me like this?" Victoria, showing no remorse, responded with a malicious smile. "I've always envied you, Emily. You've always had everything I wanted. And now, I finally have something you can't have." Michael, Emily, devastated, ran out of the apartment, leaving Michael and Victoria in an uncomfortable silence. The consequences of Victoria's actions were devastating. Emily, heartbroken by the betrayal, decided to kick Michael out of the house. She confronted him with a cold and determined look. "Michael, I want you to leave. You can't stay here for another minute." Michael, shocked and ashamed, tried to explain, but Emily wasn't willing to listen. "I don't want to hear your excuses. You've betrayed my trust and my love. Now I want you to leave." Michael, with a broken heart, packed some of his things and left. Emily, with tears in her eyes, closed the door behind him, knowing that her life had changed forever. Victoria, on the other hand, was ecstatic. She had gotten what she wanted, Michael. But soon, she would discover that things wouldn't be as easy as she imagined. Michael moved in with Victoria, and at first, everything seemed perfect. Victoria acted loving and attentive, and Michael felt grateful to have her by his side. But soon, Victoria began to show her true nature. Victoria started controlling every aspect of Michael's life. She told him what clothes to wear, who he could talk to, and where he could go. Michael initially didn't realize what was happening, but gradually, he began to feel that he was losing his freedom. Victoria also started manipulating Michael emotionally. She made him feel guilty for his betrayal of Emily and told him that only she could understand and support him. Michael, vulnerable and remorseful, fell into Victoria's trap. Meanwhile, Emily decided to focus on her work and her recovery. She started going to therapy and working on her personal development. She also focused on her career and soon received a promotion at work. Emily was determined to rebuild her life and not let Michael and Victoria's betrayal define her. The marriage of Michael and Victoria was a farce from the beginning. Victoria had gotten what she wanted, Michael's money. But once they had the ceremony, she began to show her true nature. Victoria started spending Michael's money recklessly. She bought designer clothes, jewelry, and even a luxury car. Michael initially didn't realize what was happening, but soon, he began to notice that his bank account was quickly emptying. Victoria also continued to control every aspect of Michael's life. She told him what to do and who he could talk to. Michael, trapped in Victoria's web of manipulation, didn't know how to escape. One night, while Michael was at home, Victoria told him there was a surprise for him. Michael, intrigued, followed Victoria to the bedroom, where he found a suitcase full of money. "What is this, Victoria?" asked Michael, surprised. "This is your money, Michael," Victoria replied with a malicious smile. "Or rather, it was your money. Now it's mine." Michael was shocked. "What do you mean, Victoria?" "I mean I've taken all your money and I'm leaving," said Victoria, showing her true nature. "I got what I wanted and now it's time to move on." Michael, devastated, tried to stop her, but Victoria had already made her choice. She left, leaving Michael with nothing. Victoria fled with all of Michael's money and started a new life in another country. Emily, on the other hand, was happy and at peace. She had found love and happiness that she truly deserved. Michael, alone and ruined, realized he had made a terrible mistake. He had let his weakness and remorse lead him to a life of manipulation and betrayal. Now, he had to face the consequences of his actions and learn to live with his guilt.